I love music. If you're a friend of mine, this should be no surprise to you at all. I mean, I went to college to become a music major because I was so entranced with the subject in high school. This love was passed down to me from my older sibling and from my dad. Both of them introduced me to some of my favorite and most inspirational bands, and both participated in the local Minneapolis scene. They eventually got me to go to live shows by smaller bands with them, getting me more and more immersed into the local music culture. Long before this, when I was a kid, whenever me and my siblings were going to sleep or on a long car ride, my dad would always put on a mixtape he made for us to listen to. Since an early age, I have been so inspired to become a musician and dive deeper into the world of music. But the more I've grown up and the more I've learned about the people who create it, I've learned they have to work in the constraints of the economy of music, forcing them to make their art into a product for a corporation. Music is an art form that many I know wish they could get into making. Some even wish they could pursue a career in it. Though, time and time again, I hear the same excuse. There's just no money in it, which is a statement I reluctantly have to agree with. Sure, there's those lucky few who make it big out of nowhere, but it's not just because of the quality of music they make. There's always another factor which makes them more marketable. In the modern world of music, if you want to purely just make music or be in a band, you need to get your name out there somehow. And reluctantly, this is most easily done by joining a big record label. A record label can give you access to more marketing. They can give you features with bigger names, and they can also give you more access to tools to produce your product, as well as the ability to rely on other producers. In exchange for these benefits, you lose a lot of the freedom you would have by making music completely by yourself. The company you join owns all the rights to the music you make, and they set deadlines you need to meet. How did the music industry turn out this way, though? To learn that, we need to go back to the beginning of how music became a product. The music industry has become a necessary evil since the advent of audio recording. As soon as there was a market to sell audio, there needed to be a new industry built upon selling that audio. Initially, when Thomas Edison created the phonograph and Christopher Bell and Charles Tainter's graphophone, very obviously not copying any names here, there wasn't really an explosion of a new and bustling industry. Not immediately, at least. Soon after, Emily Berliner invented the gramophone, making an easier audio playback device that was more accessible than ever before. Still very expensive, though. The earliest uses of this were for jukeboxes for commercial sale, not typically sold to private customers. One of the first pioneering companies to sell these records was the Columbia Phonograph Company, quickly changing their name to the Columbia Graphophone Company, being one of the only companies to make it through the beginning of the burgeoning record industry. Recording and playback technology continued to advance into the 1900s, which brought about the question of how music copyright would work with these recordings. Eventually, any recording of a song made it so that the owner of that song would need to be paid royalties, even if the recording was something like music for a player piano. Though music bootlegging didn't matter too much yet when the devices to play the records were so expensive, eventually with the invention of the Victrola, devices playing music became way more readily available to home markets in the 1920s. At this point, bootlegging became a genuine concern, starting record companies' long feud with piracy. At this time, music playback became even more accessible to the public, as eventually radios took over and became so popular they were killing the sale of records, which to compensate, record companies produced better and better quality recordings that radio couldn't compete with. As physical audio playback mediums proved to still be successful, vinyl became the dominant medium for audio recording, taking over the graphophone. Audio recording made music much more convenient for the average person to access. No longer did you have to attend a live concert or learn music on an instrument to hear a song. You could listen to it played right back at you. This created a barrier for musicians who wanted to have their voice heard throughout America, though. They had to go through these record companies to have their voices put out there. Eventually, for musicians, not recording your voice became economically unviable and made record companies the only way to gain a profit, meaning you had to become a part of a large corporation to record your art. These record companies were far from having the musicians' best interests in mind. They had a product they wanted to sell, and musicians were more like factory workers or mascots to them. When you signed up to a record company, you gave them the right to own the music you made and to control your artistic output. Anything the higher-ups thought was too risky was up to their whim whether you would release it or not. The record labels decided how aware the public would be of you based on how much marketing and how many deals they gave you. It didn't matter who the person making the music was. If the company didn't like you, your voice wouldn't be heard. In this era where music was most distributable through radios and vinyls to a mass audience, the media also acted as a hurdle to get over to make your way in the world as a successful musician. You had to appeal to journalists and anyone who could get your name out there and heard to get people listening to your music. This caused the system to be very up to the personal prejudice of those who communed with the public. In turn, due to this being the mid-1900s, artists of color performed worse only due to the fact that the system was against them. In the modern day, we don't really rely on record sales anymore. Less and less people are listening to the radio nowadays. And tell me one person you know who listens to music solely through a record or CD player. For the longest time, technology continued to advance to make more portable, higher quality music listening devices. But eventually, by the turn of the 21st century, something changed. The internet had created a new landscape and aspect of the world. With this new technology being so unlike anything ever before, people's listening habits changed. Now they were listening to more MP3 files than records. This was a huge shift for the music industry in the beginning, with the worries that piracy would ruin their business models. If music was so freely accessible, how could they hope to gain a profit off of it? Companies made an effort to sell their music for downloading on digital platforms, but file-sharing sites like Napster continued to be the bane of their existence, taking away their precious sales. They needed a new, more convenient way for customers to listen to music while still having to pay for it, and eventually, like many other digital platforms around the later 2000s, this turned out to be a paid subscription service used to stream your music. At first, one may think this is a positive for the musician. It gives them easier access to an even playing field with the bigger artists on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, as well as the fact the bigger industries have become more and more obsolete with the factor of directly selling your music recordings gone. Unfortunately, this wasn't the way the world turned out, though. More recently, in 2021, the music industry has made $17 billion, and over half of this, around $13 billion, went to the big industries. So how are these huge companies continuing to stay afloat with this huge shift in the paradigm of how we listen to music? Well, it all comes down to distribution and the deals big record companies made with streaming platforms. The big companies make a profit off streaming no matter what, as dictated by the digital platforms, meaning that no matter what, no longer how obsolete these companies really are anymore, they still are in control of the industry. In turn, this has also made it more difficult for the artists to make money from their music. With the consistency of physical sales and sales on albums, they didn't need to worry about an individual track's streams, unlike now. Unfortunately, in our modern era, getting paid royalties is harder and harder as streams do not equate to sales and are governed by the companies in charge. It's as easy as looking at the gap in wage between those working in the management side of music compared to those working as the singers and musicians in the industry. According to Data USA, management positions make an average of $74,000 per year, as compared to musicians who make an average of $38,000. A $40,000 difference of how much they make per year between the producers and sellers of a product. So what does this all mean for the artist of the modern day? Well, if you're looking to reach the global audience that streaming and the internet can grant you access to, it's not going to be easy at all. You need to work hard every day, and not just on your musical talents. Unfortunately, that's not the only thing you need to make it work in the world of music today. In Hannah Trigwell's book, Making It Happen, she says you need to work 1% more every day to make it in the industry. And you need to take chances you don't even necessarily want to, just to get your voice out there. In my opinion, this shouldn't need to be the case just for making your voice heard. You shouldn't need to work overtime just to be able to make a living in the scene. This is why many people pursue music more as a hobby rather than a realistic career. The system it's under doesn't leave much room for the ones under it to be creatively fulfilled while working under a big corporation, churning out the same product to be sold to a mass audience. Of course, there's other routes you can take which differ in how involved you are in the music you play, like as an instrumentalist or a singer for songs you don't write. But as it stands now, it is extremely difficult to make a living off of music on your own. Despite how bleak the economics of music may seem, especially in recent years, it isn't all hopeless. The internet has made it so much easier for anyone who wishes to try their hand at music. This digital age has made access to the tools that help us learn new skills so much easier. Just by a quick Google search, you can learn music composition skills, instrument tutorials, and how to make music completely digitally. The internet has given everyone the opportunity to make it big with social media through TikTok, YouTube, or any other online site. It's become easier than ever to become a musician, and it shows with countless people learning guitar, piano, etc. Also learning how to make music with just their computer, making their careers off of it. Not everyone who's tried has made it though. I wish I could say there isn't a heavy amount of luck involved in those who have made it big. But who knows? Maybe in our modern era, anyone can have a chance to become the next the Elvis or the Beatle. As an aspiring musician, this topic means a lot to me. For the longest time, I would turn a blind eye to the industry I have to work in, but over time, this project has helped quell my fears more than anything, even though I know how unjust the system is now. I believe every aspiring musician should know these things, and that they are, very intentionally so, blinded to the general public. It would hurt the superfans of someone like Taylor Swift or Harry Styles to know their favorite artist has a big corporation to thank for their success. But no matter what, even if you aren't seeking a career in it, there's always a way to participate in music, whether it be going to a local concert or just making a video of you singing and playing guitar. Music is an art form. It's not a product to be bought and sold. And whatever you make, it should be something personal to you. We aren't controlled by big corporations. No matter what, we can still create and enjoy others' creations. Our art is what makes us most human. Even in perilous times, we still make art, even if it's just for ourselves. I encourage everyone watching this video to make something, no matter what it is. No matter how minute or small, don't let the world hold you down from creating your art. And with all my heart, thank you for watching. Nux, bro.